In this lesson, we are going to create the green Lego block as shown on screen. You can find this drawing in the appendix section of the ebook. So I'm going to close down this drawing because I don't need it on screen at the moment. So the first thing we do when we're creating a new part, we're going to go up to the menu on the top left and click File, New. The new SolidWorks document dialog box opens. This is the novice section, but we're going to use the advanced section. So we're going to click advanced and go into the folder where we created our new templates in an earlier lesson. So we're going to choose the ABS template because that's the material we require for our Lego block. So click on the ABS and click OK. We can change the material by right-clicking on the part name in the feature manager and go down to material. And then we can click on edit material. Here we have a range of materials: steel, iron, aluminium, just to name a few. So just click on the desired material and click apply if you wish to change it. We don't want to change our material in this instance, so I'll just close the window. For the Lego block, we will use a rectangular extrude as our base feature and the top plane as our corresponding plane. So I'll start with a sketch on the top plane. We will use a center rectangle because we want to keep the origin in the center of the model. So if we click on the Sketch tab in the Command Manager and click the drop-down arrow beside the rectangular sketch command, we can choose the center rectangle. Once we have clicked our sketch command, the planes open. So we have decided to draw on the top plane, so I will select that plane for my sketch. Next thing I'll do is draw the center rectangle with the origin coincidence with this rectangle center. And I can draw at any size, it doesn't matter. If I go up to my view, I can press escape then to release the command. Go up to my view toolbar and click view orientation. I can choose to look normal to my sketch. So it's a lot handier for dimensioning. Next thing, in order to add dimensions, if I hold down on the right mouse button and drag my mouse upwards, it'll enter the dimension command. So I'll start with the small one and dimension it 15.8. Click OK. Then I can move on to the larger edge of the rectangle, and that's to be dimensioned 31.80. So I click OK again. You'll notice my sketch geometry has turned black. This means that the sketch is fully defined and this is the desired state I want to continue. So I can click the tick, close the dialog dimension box, and I can exit the sketch. Next thing I want to do is add my feature. So I clicked on features in the command manager and it's an extruded boss base I want. So down here in the feature manager, I can enter the depth or value. So in this case, it is 9.6. So I click OK. And my first feature has been created. The next step in my model is creating 8 identical circular extrudes on the top face of the block. I can use the pattern feature to do this. The pattern feature is used when creating multiple instances of the same feature. So first of all, I'll have to create my seed feature, which is the first feature. I'll do this by creating a circular sketch on the top face. In order to become normal with the top face, this time around, I can hold down my right click and drag the mouse upwards. This will bring me directly to the top view. Now I must select which planar surface I'm going to do my sketch on. So I'll just click on this surface. This opens the sketch command. So I can draw my first circle at an approximate size on the face. Once again, by holding down my right mouse button and dragging my mouse upwards, it'll initiate the dimension command. And I can dimension the circle to diameter 4.8. As you can see, my geometry is still blue, so it is underdefined, so I must relate this to existing geometry. So I click on my circle, click on my edge, and dimension that to 3.9. And click enter. And I must dimension it again to the other edge, 3.9. Now my sketch has turned black, so it's fully defined, so I can proceed. If I want to view my model in isometric, or get a pictorial view of it, if I go up to the View toolbar and hover over View Orientation, this will give me lots of different ways I can view my model. So I click on the drop-down arrow, and there's all different options here. If I click on the More Options, it will release the orientation dialog box. And sometimes when I'm modeling, I like to keep this pinned to the screen. So if I click the little pin button here, it'll be pinned to the screen. So I can just click the isometric view here, and it'll give me a better view of my model. So I can close the dimension feature. Next, I'll be using an extruded boss. So in this instance, my extrude is 1.8 millimeters. And I can accept that. So in order to create multiple instances of the same feature, I can use the pattern feature. So the pattern feature is on the features command manager, and there's various types: linear, circular, curve driven, sketch driven. But for us, we're going to use a linear pattern in this case. So the first question I'm asked in my feature manager is what direction I'd like to pattern my object. So I'm going to choose in line with the edge of my rectangle. The next question I'm asked is what spacing between my features. So in this case, the spacing is 8 millimeters. And the next question I'm asked is how many instances. So the instances in this case is 4. So that is including your first feature, which is also known as the seed feature. Now, over in the feature manager, it gives us the option for a second direction. So this is efficient in this case because we have patterning in 2 directions. So for my feature direction, second feature direction, I'm going to put in line with the shorter edge of my rectangle, as seen here. Once again, it asks me for the spacing. So again, it's 8 millimeters. And it asks me for the instances. In this case, it's not 4, it's actually 2, because it's only 2 across the way. Now, the third thing I'm asked is what feature or faces I'd like to pattern. So there's 2 ways of selecting this. I can either click on the feature I wish to choose, or in more complicated cases, I can go down to my design tree and select the feature from here. So I'm going to select my feature here, and as you see in yellow, a preview appears. So I'm happy with my preview, so I can OK. Now, the next thing I'm required to do for my Lego block is to shell the block to 1.2 millimeters. So this can be used by using the shell tool on the feature manager. So shell removes material from a solid body to create a thin wall feature. So that's what I'm looking for here. So I click on the shell tool. Now, the first thing I'm asked for is the thickness. And as we said earlier, it's 1.2 millimeters. So that's okay. And the second thing I'm asked for is what face I wish to remove. So in this case, it's the bottom face. So I can rotate my model by holding down the mouse wheel and dragging the mouse up, and we can select the bottom face. So that's the face I want to remove. And I'll be shelling the rest of the body to 1.2 millimeters. So I can click OK there. And as you see, my yellow block has been hollowed out or shelled out. So if we want to get it back to isometric or trimetric orientation, we can just select it up here in the orientation dialog box. It's a very handy tool. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply appearance to my Lego block. So I'm going to go over to the right of my screen to the task pane and double click on the fourth tab, which is appearance, scenes and decals. Just move my orientation box out of the way. So this will bring up a range of different types of materials: plastic, metal, painted, rubber, whatever you choose. So in this case, I'm going to go for plastic, and I'm going to use a medium gloss. So on our drawing, our model was green. So we're going to go down till we get green medium gloss plastic. I think that should fit the bill. So I'll just drag it and drop it onto my model. Now 5 options appear when I do this. The first one is face. That will only apply the appearance to the face. The second is the boss extrude. So it'll only apply to the feature. The third is the body. The fourth is the part. And that's the one I'm going to choose. And the fifth one is the appearance filter. So I'm going to choose the part. That'll mean the appearance is applied to every single thing that has to do with this part. Finally, I can save my model. So open the menu, save, and we'll choose a folder to put it into. So in this case, I'm going to make a new folder, call it Lego, and open the folder. And I'm going to name my part green. Sorry. I'll name my part green block. And click save. So that's all for this lesson.